So my high school bass teacher loved to tell the story of the time that he was at the doctor's office with a copy of the Bach cello suites. He found that he had a little bit of time to kill, so he mentally practiced a large excerpt from one of the movements of the cello suites, to the point where when he got home, he was able to actually play that excerpt on his instrument, having never physically played it before in his life. I have a little bit of time to kill right now. I'm about to take a train from DC to New York, and I'm gonna see if I can't recreate that. I'm gonna see if I can't learn an excerpt from the Bach cello suites. Okay, so I'm gonna be taking a stab at the A section of the third movement of the second cello suite in D minor, the Courante. I had heard this movement before, but I had never actually played it on my bass. So I'll be engaged in a form of what's called mental practice. Just the same way as you can have an inner monologue without speaking the words that you were thinking out loud, you can have a sort of musical inner monologue, where you practice music without playing it out loud. And this can actually be really effective. So there was this study out of Harvard that was conducted on 3 sets of amateur pianists. The first set of pianists were told not to practice for a week. The second set of pianists were told to practice a series of daily exercises for a week. And the third set of pianists were told to simply think about practicing those exercises for the same amount of time as the second group during the course of a week. The study found that the first group, the group that didn't practice, didn't get any better.
Hey, Adam.
Yeah.
Duh.
But interestingly, it found very little difference in aptitude between the second group, the group that actually practiced, and the third group, the group that simply thought about practicing. And it's the thought that counts. fMRI studies on musicians later found that many of the same areas of the motor cortex that are engaged in physical practice are also engaged in mental practice. Now, to help strengthen these connections, I have a trick for you. We're gonna take our left hand and we're gonna place it on our right forearm as like a stand-in for our bass guitar. This works also if you play a stringed instrument, or also, God help you, if you're a guitarist. You can use your forearm to practice scales and patterns. You can work out fingerings to different songs that you're learning. You could do this on like your legs if you're a piano player, or a leg if you're a saxophone player. Honestly, the body part doesn't really matter. All that matters is just getting your fingers on a physical surface to imitate the feeling of playing an actual instrument. If you watch somebody like Bobby McFerrin perform, you often see him moving his fingers along to the notes that he's singing. Apparently, from what I've heard, these are rough approximations of clarinet fingering, although I've also seen him imitate guitar as well. By the way, if you only know Bobby McFerrin as the guy who sang "Don't Worry, Be Happy," you are really missing out. He is an amazing singer and artist and musician. You definitely need to check out Bobby McFerrin. Links are in the description. Now, a real benefit of this whole body finger trick thing comes down to its ability to assist in audiation. Now, to audiate something is to hear something in your mind's ear, the same way that you might see something in your mind's eye. Just the same way that I could visualize what green looks like without having to see something green, I can audiate a song without actually having to hear it. Chances are you could probably audiate this song without having me play it for you. And don't worry, Universal Music Group, I won't play it. I humbly submit to your techno-capitalist dystopia. Please do not flag this video for me merely talking about the phenomenology of somebody experiencing your intellectual property. That would really be depressing. Anyway, a good way to start practicing this is to play a song that you know quite well already on your forearm. Because you played the song many times before, your brain will associate specific finger movements with specific sounds. And so if you pay close enough attention, it will help fill in that sonic information in your mind's ear. Now, I know what a minor triad sounds like. I've played it many times before on my instrument. Lo and behold, the Courante in the cello suite in D minor starts on a descending D minor triad. I know what the feeling is and the sound is of the note D descending down to an A and then down to an F. I know it's a perfect fourth followed by a descending major third, and I know many different ways of how to play it on my instrument. I can figure out which way I like best on my forearm, and then I can go throughout the movement, note by note, confident in how I know the layout of my bass. When I'm doing this, I'm focused in on the tactile sensations that I know from playing bass, which inform the auditory sensations. Loud, bright, and vivid sounds in your head are very much based on this sort of cross-modal and cross-sensory memory. This memory directly impacts the efficacy of mental practice. Studies have shown that professionals get more out of mental practice than amateurs because of their sensory memory associated with the practice of their instrument. Now, this doesn't mean that amateurs can't mentally practice. No, it just means that it's going to be a lot harder. You're going to need to be methodical about it. And unfortunately, that can be fairly fatiguing. I got kind of tired doing it. It really takes a lot out of you. There's only so much focus that you have to give over the course of a 3-hour train ride. The challenge in staying focused comes about because there is no auditory feedback here. Essentially, a reward for your efforts, a reward for moving your fingers across the fingerboard, or in this case, the forearm board. So we're gonna create our own auditory feedback that informs our music making by singing. Yes, singing on a train. Don't worry, we're gonna be discreet with this. We're actually just going to hum to ourselves. Now, in order to properly hum, what we're going to do is sing the syllable ah, but close our mouths and then focus the vibration on our lips for some physical feedback, like this. Now, if you'd like, you can place your hand on your cheek for additional point of contact for the vibration for even more physical feedback. Now, it can still be hard to hear the pitch of your humming, especially when you're in a loud public place. So in order to hear the pitch better, what we're going to do is do that thing that singers do. When you plug your ears like this, you're pressing down on the flap of skin called the tragus that covers the ear canal. This blocks out any unwanted sound, but also, interestingly, you can still hear yourself talk, and you can still hear yourself sing. I asked an expert, my mom, who is a voice teacher, why this might be.
When you do that, it enables you to hear how sound travels through your body because it's traveling through bone. And sound traveling through bone is different than sound traveling through air. So you've got something like 29 or 30 bones in your head. Your head is basically this massive conductor of sound. You even have a floater bone in your neck called the hyoid bone that's between the tongue and the voice box. And it all conducts sound quite a bit differently than through air.
So we have the means of creating audio in our heads to go along with finger movements, not unlike what Bobby McFerrin ends up doing. Now, if you're unsure of the pitch and are having trouble audiating it, you can reference it on a piano app and then hum what you hear, confident that you will be able to hear it through the bones of your face. Now, I'm not a singer, but I think singing is the key here to practicing effectively without your instrument.
Singers either have an innate sense or they learn how to track that sound as it moves through the body, which gives them a kinesthetic sense of what is correct, what is going to produce what they want to produce.
Thanks, Ma.
All right, love you.
Love
Talk
you.
soon.
Bye. Okay, I thought I learned a fair amount. Let's see how I did. Okay, let's see if I can actually play this thing. Okay, so I think I actually got this. I think I also actually have it memorized too, or at least the little bit that I practiced. Let's see how it goes. This is take 1, recording, and yeah, here we go. I've never played this before. Oh, I'll try that again. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I knew exactly where my fingers were supposed to be going. It was a little strange because I had never physically moved in that way before, but because I had been practicing audiating the whole piece, I knew what it was supposed to sound like quite well. So that was a very strange experience, let me tell you, but oh man, that's quite exhilarating, to be honest. Cool. I guess I just need to learn the rest of the movement now, instead of just like the first couple of measures. Wow, okay.
Courante.
So, do you ever wonder why, if you play the bass, you can pick up any bass and potentially make music with it, it doesn't seem like it's that strange of a concept, but think about it. You don't play a bass, you play bass. All of bass. You can make music on any bass that was ever made and any bass that ever will be made. You play the idea of bass. When we practice, what we're doing is we're mapping meanings on the amorphous, I guess, platonic ideal of the instrument to specific personal fingerings and sounds and concepts. This is why mental practice is so effective, and why past a certain stage in your musicianship, you don't actually need a physical instrument, although it can certainly expedite the process. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, there is no spoon.
It is not the spoon that bends, it is only yourself.
All practice takes place inside your head, whether or not you're sitting there on a train or sitting there with an instrument. Now, this is a YouTube vlog that has had a little bit of a storytelling element to it, so you might just have to take my word for it that you actually witnessed me playing an excerpt from the second Bach cello suite from memory, having never played it before. But if anything, I want to impress upon you this. You don't need your instrument to practice. You can practice wherever you find yourself. All you need is focus and a vivid auditory imagination. The rest will take care of itself.